Hello, viewers. It is Mark to Mark, the only sports conversation with a difference, and we are back big. I know it's been 2 weeks off the mic for me, but these two amazing dudes, Mark and Mark, have held it down real good. And today, of course, we're going to look at CHAN and then eventually European League. Of course, I'm back, loud, ready. Uganda is flying high at CHAN. What a time to return. Okay, so looking at the CHAN chase and, CHAN chance, Uganda is now at the top of the table. Okay, and quarterfinals are loading. I would want to maybe just give a brief of some players that have really made us proud. We've been looking at Okello pulling some strings in the midfield. It's been pure class. We've been looking at Pande. He's been amazing, fearless, supportive up front. And Sam Mugabe has stepped up real good. And of course, Captain Torach, being the anchor for his team. Maybe to start off with Mark Namanya, the last time you were here, you predicted goals from Judah and Alan. Do you have our back this time coming for the quarterfinals in Senegal?
Well, last time I thought that something was bound to give way for Jude Semgabe. He'd been knocking on the door. He'd been making some very powerful runs. He was finding himself in goal-scoring positions. And as a striker, sometimes it's only a question of when, not if. And I'm glad that he's gotten that monkey off his back. He's got the goals ahead of a very, very important game against Senegal. The defending champions at Nambole on Saturday. But ever since Cranes suffered that horrible opening day show against Algeria, they've turned around the tide. They've actually gone on to score 8 goals, which is quite impressive because we've already known Uganda to struggle to score goals. Not just with the CHAN team, but even the senior team. In fact, Uganda has historically struggled to get goals at all the CHAN tournaments, which is why we've been remaining in the group stages. But now that we have 8 goals, we are deservedly in the quarterfinals, and I'm happy to note that we've seen goals coming in from many sources. We have a goal from Joel Soronjoji in midfield. You've got goals from Alan Okello. There have been penalties, but at least if you give him credit, he's converted all of them. Including the rebound against Niger. You have a goal for Ivan Haimbisiwe. You've got a goal for Torach, the captain. You also have a goal from Mpande Regan, the ACV midfielder. So the goals are coming in. Cranes are scoring the chances. And of course, the manner of the victory against South Africa can only inspire a lot of confidence and belief and a certain invincibility about the team, because Cranes, on the face of it, have no business being in the quarterfinals against Senegal. Somehow we needed some divine powers to pick us up against South Africa when it all looked like we were out of CHAN 2024. So I think the boys are buzzing. The goals are coming in from everywhere, and the 12th man at Nambole Stadium cannot be underestimated. Uganda Cranes have created that kind of atmosphere that makes it both intimidating for the opponent and even the ref. Sometimes when you have a very, very powerful 12th man, like the Uganda Cranes have shown at Nambole, it does get into the mindset of the referee to be compelled to use the VAR to look at certain decisions. And I think for the fans out there, once again, we shall need every one of you to go to Nambole to scream yourself hoarse if you're going to get a result against a Senegal team, which is going to be a much standard test than South Africa were
they need our support
in the last group C game at Nambole.
Yeah, and Max Ali, how do you think Torach's leadership, has worked in this run so far?
Well, it's been really good. Because, what happened is that Alan was captain for the first game. And then, because so many changes were rung after the loss to Algeria.
Yes.
And one of those was Alan Okello being stripped of that captaincy because, the claim from the dressing room and the training ground was that he was not vocal enough. And because, of course, they needed to find solutions. They needed to find scapegoats and lay blame somewhere for that capitulation against Algeria. But it turned out to be a blessing because Torachi has led from the back. He's led vocally. There's that video that's going around of him on the bike doing exercise at that team hotel, and with other players, and he was singing. They were singing along to some song. Yeah, I mean, and Torachi, well, thankfully for him, is fluent in Luganda. I don't know if it's only about the singing, but the vocal, the bit about him not being shy, being outward and outspoken, is captured in that video. More importantly, however, is that he's actually done the job on the pitch. The tweet that came
actually,
out...
Mark, I have an old school view about captaincy. I've always felt that a captain should be either a defender, a goalkeeper, a defender, or a midfielder, because you've got a better view of the pitch, and typically the guys at the back tend to be more vocal than the guys up front.
Up front, yeah.
So it was doing the team maybe some kind of injustice, because first of all, Alan is not a vocal person. He's never been.
Oh yeah.
He's only a vocal. He does this talking with the feet. But leadership, you need the hustle mode of leader. You know, a guy is going to the judge some kind of leader, as opposed to a guy who is up front.
Up front, yeah. Well, it's worked in the past. You're right. Most captains, actually, the most memorable captains have actually been out of central defense. In all honesty, yeah, they've been, and some out of holding midfield, and a few goalkeepers. Yeah, but every once in a while you have somebody who can lead from the front. It's not easy because they're looking backward when they're issuing commands and all. But it's happened. I mean, Uganda has had successfully Jackson Mayanja was a captain at KCCA. Never really for Cranes, because every time he was at the Cranes, there were a few other guys who were leaders. But even there, he did wear the armband a few times. But yes, Jackson Mayanja did it here. We know Hurricane does it for England, for example.
Yes.
There are not too many, and Mark is right there. But anyway, having said that, the tweet attributed to Torachi after the game. No, actually, no. It's a tweet from one of the legends.
Paul Mukatabala, yeah.
Paul Mukatabala, one of the legends, again. Somebody who played up front. He talked to somebody out of the camp. Paul Mukatabala is also part of the Cranes establishment, being team manager or at the senior level. And the quotes he attributed to Torachi were of somebody who stepped up and said, look, for that penalty against South Africa, Alan Okello had been substituted. He'd scored a penalty. We were down 3-2.
And trust me, most people were worried.
Yeah, it was virtually the last
Okello
kick
came
of the
out.
game. Yeah, it was virtually the last
Actually,
kick of the game. So
Mark,
he stepped up.
Victory hides a multitude of sins, and defeat needs an explanation. If Torachi had missed that penalty, Mole Bekaso was going to be slain alive.
Both of them were going to be crucified, but Mole more than Torachi, yeah.
I mean, Torachi has come into his element, but I know that in the early games against South Africa, I mean, in the early stages, it was a pack of nerves. Him and Mukundane, they were sleeping, they were making rash decisions, making less mistakes. But of course, because he scored the winning penalty, he's kind of yes.
No, understandably,
yes.
but he stepped up.
He did.
The quotes there.
You've got to give him the credit for stepping up.
Yeah, I must take responsibility. The blame will go on my shoulders if we.
And that's leadership.
Yeah, that's leadership and everything. And they said, "I'll do it." By the way, it wasn't the world's best penalty.
No, it wasn't.
It crept under the goalkeeper's arm.
He got his palm on it.
Yeah, the keeper got his palm on it, and it crept under him. It could easily have been saved.
I think penalties,
but it took guts.
Penalties.
Yes.
And it found the back of the net, most importantly. And right now, even more than Regan Panda's opener against Guinea, it is starting out as the most important goal in the Ukraine campaign
Mark,
so far.
the best penalty is the one which crosses the line. Simple as that. Yeah, simple as that, yeah. It doesn't matter how it crosses the line.
Not for me, there are some good and bad ones, but here...
No, Mark. The best penalty is the one which crosses the line.
Here, I'm having... Here,
there's nothing like a bad penalty.
Here, I have no criticism whatsoever because of it took guts for him to step up.
Yes.
It's tough, by the way, for central defenders, especially of a certain kind, for them to be the ones to take responsibility for penalties because of the nature of their play. In this particular game, for example, he and Mukundane were not necessarily controlling and passing. They were not playing out of the back. they were both nervous but under a lot of pressure.
And Mark,
So if
Mark,
you're booting the ball away most of the time,
Mark,
you're not bound to
At all.
to be the
Mark,
one to score a penalty.
you're being very lenient with your words. They'd actually been poor in the second half because South Africa were running rings around us.
I don't think
totally. By the way.
And we were just hanging on for their lives.
Yeah, but that was across the pitch because is because one of Uganda's Cranes' weaknesses, of course, is the inability to keep possession. One of the things that takes pressure away from you, takes pressure off you.
Yeah.
In those pressure situations is if you can keep the ball away from the opposition
Yes.
for long enough for them to get desperate.
We gave away the second goal because we cannot
the way it
play out of
happened,
the defense.
Yeah, the Cranes can't keep the ball or they didn't have the confidence under pressure with that caliber of opposition.
Yes.
It's the same as Algeria, the opener.
Where
to knock it around and keep the ball long enough.
Where you give
to
the
take
Cranes
pressure off themselves.
Where you give the team credit, Mark, and as we vilify them for not having that identity of playing out of defense, we've got to give them full credit for their resilience, for their guts, for their never said attitude. Because by winning those penalties, they were forcing the play.
Yes,
because. We reached a point because this was 85 minutes, 86 minutes,
where
we're either going to score a second goal or concede a fourth. So you had to go for broke because we needed to do something outrageous. And I've got to give all the players who are on the field and the entire team. You've got to give them their flowers for forcing the play, for making South Africa make mistakes.
Yeah, look, I am the Cranes. Yeah, the biggest credit they are taking out of the group stages and their first qualification.
Because remember, Mark, Nambole was silent, dead silent.
Yeah.
In that
from where I was seated, the former president Moses Magogo, after the third goal, he walked away.
Most people began walking away.
Many people actually.
There were so many. So what I'm saying is that what the Cranes have done is one of the biggest things they've done is to show strength of character, collectively and individually. Because after the capitulation against Algeria, it was always going to be difficult to lift themselves in a group like this, as tough as it was. Guinea and South Africa were also in the same group in which they were taking on the two teams. Now, so what happened is that they stepped out there after everything that had happened, the fallout, the lashings they took in the media, as well as with their bosses and everything. From the first whistle against Guinea, they showed that they had come to win. And they've been in the same attitude since. The game against South Africa, being a decider, is one in which they are going to be under a lot of pressure always. But look, even under a lot of that pressure, where they couldn't keep possession, where they were hanging on for dear lives and everything, they executed brilliantly to take the lead. That Senegal opener with the break was a brilliant one. After they'd gone 3-1 down, and the terrible comedy of that third goal especially, that's where you give up. It's late in the game, it's 85, 86, it's late, 3-1 is a killer, 2-1, they could still score the equalizer and draw. 3-1, you're dead and buried. Several people left the stadium.
Oh, yes.
Yet these guys continue to go forward.
It was a very beautiful, a wonderful taken third goal.
You give them credit.
And it was shambolic defending from Uganda, but you would give credit to South Africa.
And Lodlo had been he had been on fire all game.
Yeah.
Actually, he was man of the match. He's one of the best players at the tournament.
That finish he's
gone home.
That finish from Tabiso Kutumela, Mark. To weigh that pass and just to play that ball, to chip it between the head of Gavin Chizito and the crossbar. You had to have a certain degree of precision.
It was beautiful precision. Yeah, of course, aided by Joe Motakwa being at sea. But our goalkeeper, it was a bad. It wasn't the best advert for him as a goalkeeper. But it's to be fair to him, and that is what the character I'm talking about across the team, is that he has stood tall when he has had to.
Yes.
Is that he has put his mistakes behind him and still performed. And even in this game, I mean, he doesn't come out with great kudos having conceded 3, but he was part of a team that actually got the result they needed.
But he also made a save, Mark. He made a critical save on Keegan Dolly, and it was a 2-1, that fast break. A very excellent counter-attack.
Yeah, that was a one-on-one.
A one-on-one.
The game could have died earlier.
It could have died earlier, and probably have made it much harder.
But anyway,
brilliant,
Where it leaves us is we go into that quarterfinal with confidence. One, we have secured home court advantage, if you like, if I may call it that.
Yes.
Because winning the group meant that the Cranes stay at home for that quarterfinal. So it's against Senegal at 5 p.m. on Saturday. After Kenya will have played against Madagascar, and Tanzania will have played against Morocco.
East Africa were the top.
Yeah, so we play, and then Sudan and Algeria will be the last quarterfinal on Saturday at night at 8. But so we stay at home court advantage. Taking on the defending champions would have been tough if away from Nambole. But it's good, and like Mark was referring to our goal scoring earlier.
Yes.
Senegal have scored a lot less goals than us in this tournament, which is something you would never say. Of course, they've had only 4 teams in their group to our 5. But that the Cranes have scored 8 goals is an advantage. Alan Okello is a top scorer on 3. There are 2 other guys on that. That is Osama Lamlouli from Morocco, who's still in the tournament and could add on to them. But Tabiso Kutumela, who Mark has just talked about, he's gone home. He's also on 3.
Oh, yes.
So, and there's a few other guys on 2 who could still win the Golden Boot. I mean, from East Africa here, Austin Odhiambo and Ryan Ogam from Kenya have 2. You've got Clement Mzize from Tanzania has got 2. A few other players, Mohamed Rabi from Morocco, Rimrat, and Abdurauf of Sudan are still in the tournament. They've got 2 as well. But we have done a great job. We have got 5 different scorers for 8 goals. So the goals can come from different places. And that gives the team confidence going into a game like that against Senegal. Yeah. And while Senegal is a step up from the opposition.
They will be the favorites on Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah.
Let's be very honest.
They're a step up, say, from Niger. But listen, Uganda was in the toughest group of all the hosts. Because having Algeria, South Africa, and Guinea, you basically, ideally, Uganda,
including Niger, because Niger was semi-finalists at the last chance.
Yeah.
So
I think people
that
makes ours the group of
that.
death.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we could have used Tanzania's group or Kenya's, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you like. We could have exchanged those groups and been more comfortable. So that coming out of a group like that,
one,
puts us in good stead against the defending champions. And I referred to it here when we had just lost against Algeria, or on this very mic, at a time when I don't think many people would have believed it. Perhaps it sounded like just blind optimism. Is that, look, there are examples in history of teams that have lost on the opening day badly, the way we did against Algeria, and gone on to win tournaments. I didn't go so far back in history. Mark referred to Spain in 2010 at the World Cup. I chose to stay in the last 4 years just so people could remember, including the younger ones, which is why I brought Ivory Coast up at the last AFCON when they capitulated in the groups, lost to 4-0 to Guinea-Bissau and all, went on to win it against Nigeria in the final. And Argentina, having lost to Qatar, having lost to Saudi Arabia in the opener, Messi and company, and then they went on to win against France in the final. And I said at the time that it was possible, even for the Uganda Cranes. Surprise, surprise, here we are. Knockout phases, playing at home against all the odds, but the Cranes have been beating odds since after Algeria. And if, as at the end of the show we will do, if you ask me to make a prediction now, I am more bold now than I was making one against Guinea on that day.
I actually think
that's how far the Cranes have come.
I actually think the best thing to happen to Uganda Cranes was to lose to Algeria. And I like the manner in which we lost, because we were very poor in every aspect. Algeria were better than us, and I think it necessitated a rethink, some bit of soul searching, and some tough words which Mark is going to usher us into, which basically turned the team around. Since then, in the words of Joel Mutakwa, every game has been a final. Every game is a final. There's nothing like let's play this one and then say no. Every game is a final.
The final.
And I think that has spurred on the team to play the way they're doing right now. And I think we shall go with the same attitude into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, Mark, before we leave the topic of that, the team and where we're headed, is that for the crucial game against South Africa, the decider, if you like, the Cranes were forced into a change because of suspension of Joel Serunjoji. We discussed it here at length. We even actually got it right on what Mole should do. He actually went and did what we said, because I talked about him dropping Watambala into the double pivot deeper
Nice.
Senegal and bringing Kakande into the 10.
Yes.
Actually, Bak wasn't very sure about Kakande in the 10, but Kakande was the best performer on the night, by the way, even better than Alan, or even better than Alan Okello against South Africa in that 10 position. Now, here's the dilemma for Molebie Kwaso, is that I think Seron George is back. He's eligible to play against Senegal.
Yes.
So restoring that partnership with Seron George and Sebagala means that Kakande has to drop out of the lineup.
Oh, yeah.
There's the decision to make. Mpande has been great on the left.
He's been great.
And,
Yes.
Alan has been great on the right.
I cannot drop Mpande.
And Semugabi has
Semugabi
led the
also
line
been able-
admirably.
Exactly.
And finally
Yes.
got himself a goal. None of those can be dropped. So
I think of all the
Nine,
of all
it
the
looks like
players,
Kakande goes back to the bench.
Kakande goes back to the bench because Kakande can be an impact sub.
He's a good impact
he's a
sub
good
because of
impact
his
sub.
his fearlessness, his ability to take on men.
Oh yes,
And lift
he
the
can-
tempo.
He can draw fouls.
Yeah,
he
you want
can-
somebody who can pick up the
Oh,
tempo
yes.
if a team is
So
bad.
remember, we're going to need to maintain the shape
Of
against
course,
Senegal,
yes.
and if you're going to maintain the shape, your
Then you
core,
need-
you need
You need Joel back.
Absolutely,
And Karim
absolutely.
Watambala back in the 10.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, the other change mark that will be forced on us is actually that of Mkundane. I think he picked up a second yellow.
Wow.
Mkundane,
So that means
he
that
did.
the central defense partnership is going to be broken up
Yes,
as well.
yes.
So Torach, the captain, has to get a new partner. And most likely that will be Arnold Odong.
Yep, it was going to be
the young Villa man,
Yeah.
the tall man coming back in there. That partnership did not look great against Algeria.
Yes, yes.
But I think I might put it down to the opening day.
Yeah, and it was a combination of factors.
yeah,
We didn't
exactly.
lose 3-0 because of Arnold Odong.
No.
It was a combination
Not
of
him
many
particularly.
factors.
He did nothing
No,
wrong, really.
he did nothing wrong, yes. Oh,
Algeria
yeah.
was just superior.
They were just superior. They were just superior.
But anyways, so those are the changes that will be have to be made, and then we'll go at it. But anyway, I think the team has used to the changes which have been forced on them. One, by the
Already.
bad result against Algeria, and two, by the suspension.
That was a
But
wake-up call.
Against South Africa.
there's something else which is happening in the team, which, and we've got to give credit to it. There's certain cohesion that you see in the Cranes.
Yeah.
And which is why they've been quick to pick up one another when there've been mistakes.
Yes,
the young
yeah.
They're working together.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's been inspired by the 1.2 billion or whatever Molebekas is telling the boys, but they're working together. They are fighting for every lost cause.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm happy
Yes.
because without that kind of cohesion and chemistry and that willingness to die for one another, we're never going to get
Absolutely, Mark. I agree with you
Teamwork,
because look,
teamwork.
we are not the greatest footballing
No.
side around.
No, we're not.
In tournament speak,
No, we're not.
We haven't necessarily produced the best football.
No,
We have produced-
I'll tell you without fear or favor, right in the camera, that South Africa, which we knocked out, are better than us.
Oh,
Yeah, in
they-
many
they
senses,
played a good
especially
game.
They're better than
they
us.
play better football and they're easier on the eye.
Yeah.
But that's understandable. They come from a stronger league and they were more experienced by far.
But sometimes
One on
you
man to man.
don't have to be the best to advance.
Yeah, you don't
Sometimes
have
you
to.
have to dig
where,
deep.
Where
Yeah.
the Cranes, where I like this, what the Cranes have done. One of the things they've improved greatly upon in this particular tournament, because we still have issues keeping possession
Yes.
under pressure. One of the things they've done so well, really, is to actually improve on how they break. Our first break or our counter attack is much better than I've seen in the Cranes hierarchy for the 35, 40 years of what the Uganda Cranes. Because 4 of the 8 goals Mark talks about that we've scored have actually come on the break. And that has come because of great execution, mostly from the 2 guys, from the 3 guys in the middle. Seron George, Sebagala, and Karim Watambala.
Yeah.
They started well, and then the wide guys, Mpande and Alan, have done great in those breaks. And then against South Africa,
one
of
of
course,
my favorite goals of all the ones Uganda has scored was the one by Seron George. Was that against Nigeria?
Seron George was against Nigeria, the opener against
The
Nigeria.
opener. I love the build, how Kwatambala
It was
broke
greatly
and
built up.
found Mpande, and then Mpande crossed.
But Mark,
to
even the
Alan.
counter-attack that from which Ivan Ayimbisiwe scored was great, because what that was Sebagala keeping composure, beating a player in the center arc, finding Watambala. Watambala's through ball was threaded beautifully.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ivan Ayimbisiwe beat the offside trap, won, and then left the keeper for dead.
Actually, one of the
so it was
things,
beautiful.
one of the things I faulted Mole for,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that we're better than Algeria, but I feel that he should have had Watambala for me.
From the very start, yeah.
On the back of the season he has had at Vipers.
He should have had it.
He should have had, because Wanambala has become, as emerged as one of our better performers.
Yeah.
Ever since he started again.
Consistently, I think probably the best. But in retrospect, it actually did help. Those selection mistakes were made on the opening day.
Yeah, which goes back to my point of saying the best thing to happen to Uganda was to lose
early.
But
I'll tell you this, on the cohesion bit that Mark is talking about, I think it's been brought about, one, by the fact that the Cranes actually do have a siege mentality created by that loss to Algeria, and the fact that they actually believe themselves to be underdogs.
Yeah.
So that siege mentality brings you guys together, guys together, too, because they know that if it was a World Cup qualifier or an AFCON match in Morocco in December, there would be different guys on the pitch.
Yeah.
Guys coming from Macedonia and Czech Republic.
And the US.
The US would be the ones actually on the pitch. So they have this thing of underdog mentality, which they've used to their advantage, which is why perhaps we're even scoring goals on the counter-attack, because teams are coming at us, they have no respect for us, so they open up at the back and we attack them. The other thing is then what the 12th man that Mark was talking about has actually done is because the fans have been so behind this team, even at the worst of moments. Never mind a few thousand leaving. Actually, they tried to get back in by the after the noise of the second goal. Yeah, I understand so many were stopped.
The good thing with
I remember I know that with Salvador, for example,
the good thing with the CAF regulations, when you step out of
you can't come back.
You can't come out.
I know that Salvador, or one of the more famous comedians in Uganda, one of the he's one of those that got up because I was sitting right in front of me. He's one of the guys that got up and left, so I don't know, he must be kicking himself because I don't think he was allowed back in.
So what was it? A gentleman called Seron Georgie, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
When we considered the third, he said, "I'm leaving because I stay here saying, but you get it, I don't want to be in this in this jam."
Yes.
And then almost immediately after, when he was planning to walk out, we get a penalty from
get that penalty.
And then the guy sits down and he left the stadium past midnight.
Yeah.
For someone who was supposed to leave the stadium around 9:30.
But I'll tell you, that aside, Paul, the crowd has lifted the team so much.
And I know Max Ali is not like me. Is not one to walk out of the stadium, even if we have 6-7 goals down. I've also never left.
I've watched thousands of games.
I always
ever left.
Likewise.
Before the final whistle.
Yeah.
And I have never ever quit on a team before the final whistle. That has got to do with one or two other teams I support and what they've done in history. I will not go there. It has always told me that there's always hope.
Yeah.
By the way,
it's never over till it's over.
No, it never. Yeah, that team
and
even last
Cranes
season at its worst came back from 3-1 down in extra time against Athletic Bilbao against Lyon, Olympic Lyon to still get that result and win 4-3 in added time, the way the Cranes did it against South Africa. So for me, I'll never quit. But never mind. That has brought these guys together, because when you see the lap of honor they do at the final whistle, at the end of games, it is that of a unit that's appreciative of what the crowd is bringing, of what they mean to the country, and of how well they are together. I saw the celebration for Torach's goal, the equalizer, the penalty, involved not just the players on the pitch, but everybody, including Alan Okello, who had just been substituted.
Yes.
You could see the togetherness. Yes. It wasn't about one or two guys dancing at the corner flag. It was the entire establishment. And for me, that holds us a good case.
I have been going to Nambole, Mark, from the time the stadium was opened, and I do not think there's been a greater match in the 28-year history of Malawi National Stadium, in terms of what was at stake, the drama, the euphoric scenes, and what it meant for the country. For me, that 3-3 against South Africa will go down as arguably the greatest match ever played at Nambole.
Yeah,
in the 28-year history.
Yeah, because I can look at it all the way from there's been a significance to several matches that have been played at Nambole because of different competitions, of different stages and everything. For example, Fred Tamale scoring in 1997 when that stadium was being opened.
It was actually 98.
98 against Villa, for Express against Villa.
The first man to score.
That was the very first goal in that
goal,
stadium.
yeah.
And it was against a team that had dominated Express and Ugandan football for years and years. So it was a great one. Fred Tamale had represented a period in which Express finally came over their inferiority complex of Villa and won a few things in between there, and he was largely responsible for that. He and a few guys, Aloro and Tiabando. So that was significant. There have been a few other games which have been really great. I mean, some qualifiers when we eventually broke the jinx and went to our first AFCON in 2017.
We beat Comoros 1-0.
Yes,
with a goal.
That was big. That was really big. Huge under the circumstances. Comoros are not South Africa. But if you go back in time, at that moment, it was really big.
Mark,
I agree with
because
Mark.
The Comoros
at
game
the end of the day,
it was a scrappy mere goal, and of course it meant a lot.
I know it was big.
Yeah, it was big.
That's a goal that will go down in Ugandan football.
Yes, but for me, when you put together what was at stake,
all of them,
and the manner in which
South Africa
it was
is the
achieved,
biggest ever,
and the level, because this was a continental tournament.
I agree.
Continental tournament.
No, I agree. Even after reviewing all of them, I agree.
I mean, if you are not at Nambole on Monday, August 18th, 2025,
you'll never know.
I feel sorry for you, but at least you watch the game on television.
You needed to experience it yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Certain things cannot be narrated.
It can get bigger, by the way, on Saturday. So let's wait.
Oh yes, and it will get bigger. It will be bigger.
If you ask me, I think when the tickets are already out, like done.
The tickets are selling like hotcakes. Please buy tickets from the authorized channels. And authorized channels, log on to the CAF website, and then from the CAF website, you'll be directed to the CHAN website, and the CHAN website will direct you to that link, which is chan.tkt.ug, where you can access the valid match tickets. When you print your ticket, please hold on to it dearly, because if you send it to anyone, they can print it and then duplicate it, and whoever the first user at the stadium will be the one who will be guaranteed entry into the stadium. So for every fan out there, once you print your ticket from a source in which you're in absolute control, or just have it on your phone and then you'll flash it at the time starts. Because, Mark, we've seen a series of cases where people have come and they've been bounced at the Eastern Gates or at the various cases at the stadium, where I print my ticket, because when you pay for the ticket, it's sent to your email. And when they send to your email, if you print 10 of them, this is a system which is being managed by CAF. You're not going to beat it.
No.
So if they're going to scan your QR code, and once they finish scanning it, they'll know that now Mark Sally has entered the stadium.
Yeah.
Now, if a certain gentleman old lady called Pearl, had the same ticket and arrived 10 minutes later, she won't go through.
No, so, it's not possible, yeah.
So please, you cannot beat the system. It's tried and tested. Do not chupla those tickets.
So many people have been turned away.